It was a sunny, peaceful morning when Daniel, a young man passionate about history and adventure, arrived in Rome, the Eternal City. Since childhood, he had dreamed of wandering the streets of this mythical city, filled with secrets and mysteries that had always captivated his imagination. He remembered reading books about Rome, filled with vivid descriptions of gladiators battling in the Colosseum, emperors ruling from the capital, and philosophers debating in the forums. With every page he turned, his desire to see those places in person grew stronger. As he set foot on Roman soil, Daniel felt a mix of excitement and awe as he walked among the imposing ruins and ancient buildings that towered around him, silent witnesses to centuries of history. The worn stones of the Colosseum, the majestic columns of the Pantheon, and the winding cobblestone streets surrounded him, each narrating a part of the city's rich history. It was as if the very air was imbued with tales of love, betrayal, glory, and decay. With every step, Daniel could almost hear the echoes of the past resonating in his ears, as if Rome were whispering its most closely guarded secrets to him. Every corner of the city whispered stories of the past, of fallen empires and legendary figures who once walked those same streets. He imagined legionnaires marching proudly, citizens gathering in the forum to hear the senators' speeches, and the artists and thinkers who shaped Western civilization. The feeling of being at the center of all that legacy filled him with excitement. With his notebook and camera in hand, Daniel was determined to capture not only the visual beauty of Rome, but also the essence of its living history. The quest for those hidden secrets that couldn't be found in tourist guides drove him to explore every street, square, and corner in search of the unknown. Daniel had meticulously prepared for his trip, knowing it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In his backpack, he carried a notebook filled with scribbles and observations, a camera to capture every moment, and a meticulously crafted list of historical places he had researched for months. He had spent hours in libraries and exploring online, immersing himself in the fascinating world of Rome, studying ancient and modern maps, and devouring books that spoke of the splendor and decay of ancient Rome, as well as its emperors, warriors, and thinkers who had shaped history. From the great exploits of Julius Caesar to the philosophical reflections of Marcus Aurelius, Daniel absorbed every detail with almost religious fervor. However, what he longed for most was not just to see the famous monuments or iconic sites that filled postcards and travel guides, like the Colosseum or the Roman Forum, but to discover those hidden corners of Rome that didn't appear in the guides. He sought those places where time seemed to stand still and where the city's secrets remained alive, whispering stories to those who knew how to listen. Daniel pictured himself wandering through narrow alleyways, away from the hustle and bustle of tourism, where locals kept traditions alive. He wanted to find small trattorias where elderly chefs cooked family recipes passed down through generations, or hidden cafes where the neighborhood elders could be heard chatting about days gone by. His curiosity guided him, and he knew that the true essence of Rome lay not solely in its grand monuments, but in the everyday moments and human interactions that unfolded in lesser-known spaces. It was in those places where he could feel the city's history vibrating with greater intensity, and that quest filled him with renewed purpose as he began his adventure in the Eternal City. After dropping off his luggage at the hotel, Daniel decided it was time to embark on his long-awaited adventure. With his camera ready to capture every instant and his notebook in hand, where he had jotted down ideas and reflections, he headed toward the center of Rome, eager to immerse himself in the city's rich history. As he walked along the cobblestone streets, the hustle and bustle of Roman life surrounded him. The murmur of conversations in Italian, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting from the small cafes, and the sound of scooters buzzing around him. All of it filled him with energy and excitement. Finally, upon reaching the Piazza del Colosseo, the Colosseum loomed majestically in the middle of the city, like a silent guardian of history. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. After so many years of dreaming about it, he was finally standing before one of the most iconic structures of the ancient world. The enormity of the building took his breath away, and every crack and wear in the stones seemed to tell a story of fierce battles and grand spectacles that had taken place within. Despite the crowd of tourists jostling for the perfect shot with their phones, Daniel lost himself in thought. He closed his eyes for a moment, imagining himself in the age of gladiators, hearing the cheers of the crowd filling the stands, feeling the tension in the air before a fight began. He allowed himself a moment of reflection, contemplating how this place had been a stage for both glory and tragedy, where life and death intertwined in unimaginable ways. As he observed the worn stones of the Colosseum, he felt a deep connection with the history surrounding him. It was as if time had stood still, and the echoes of laughter, shouts, and battles still resonated in the air. With every click of his camera, Daniel captured not only the image of the monument, but also the essence of its history. In his notebook, he jotted down his impressions and emotions, trying to encapsulate the magic of the moment, aware that he was living a unique experience that would be etched in his memory forever. Determined to explore beyond the impressive facades, Daniel felt compelled to uncover the secrets that lay hidden in the shadow of the Colosseum. And so he began to wonder what stories remained untold in this city so rich in history. With each step, he delved a little deeper into the heart of Rome, hoping to find those forgotten corners where the past and present intertwined in surprising ways. As he wandered through the corridors of the Colosseum, Daniel allowed himself to dream and let his imagination soar. Every step he took resonated with the echoes of the past, and he could almost hear the deafening roars of the crowd, the clash of swords in epic battles, and the breathless gasps of the gladiators fighting for their lives. He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling how history came to life around him. In his mind, he relived the splendor of this place, where gladiators fought not only for their lives but for glory and fame, while emperors watched from their ornate thrones, enjoying the spectacle. Lost in those thoughts, Daniel was swept away by the emotion of the moment and began to write in his notebook. With every word he penned, he tried to capture the essence of what he felt: the vibrant energy of the Colosseum, the weight of history in its worn stones, and the sensation of being part of something much larger than himself. Ideas flowed from his pen, and the pages filled with vivid descriptions, raw emotions, and a yearning to discover more. However, as he immersed himself in his writing, something interrupted his concentration. A figure caught his attention from the other side of the corridor. It was an elderly man with a mysterious air, dressed in a dark tunic that seemed to have seen better days, and a worn hat that gave him an aura of ancient wisdom. His deep, observant eyes sparkled with hidden knowledge that intrigued Daniel. The man regarded him with an intensity that seemed to transcend time, as if he knew more than he let on. As the old man approached slowly, Daniel felt a mix of curiosity and anticipation. When the man stood before him, he spoke in a deep, calm voice that resonated in the air. "Hello, I am Giulio," he introduced himself with a slight nod. "I know the secrets of this place. Would you like to see a part of the Colosseum that few have seen?" Intrigued by the offer and without hesitation, Daniel nodded enthusiastically. The idea of discovering a hidden corner of the Colosseum filled him with excitement. Giulio gestured with his hand, inviting him to follow, and together they made their way toward a side door that appeared to be reserved for staff. The threshold was adorned with a simple wooden frame, and the door creaked softly as it opened, revealing the darkness inside. They began to descend a narrow stone staircase that led to an underground passage. The air grew colder and damper as they moved, and the echo of their footsteps resonated in the gloom, creating an atmosphere of mystery. The walls were covered in mold and dampness, and Daniel felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as he entered this hidden world. As they walked, Giulio began to share stories about the gladiators who once fought in the Colosseum's arena. He spoke of the brave men and women who, with pounding hearts and adrenaline coursing through their veins, faced fierce beasts and other fighters, all for glory and fame. "Most people don't know that beneath the Colosseum lie these passageways," Giulio explained, pointing his flashlight at the worn inscriptions on the walls that seemed to recount tales of forgotten battles. He also spoke of the slaves who built the Colosseum, those who unknowingly created a monument that would withstand the test of time. Those men worked day and night, sacrificing their freedom and sometimes even their lives, he continued, his voice filled with respect. Today their spirits roam here, acknowledging the greatness of what they helped to build. With each step they took, the atmosphere grew more intense. Giulio, with his grave and mysterious voice, began to recount legends that had endured through the centuries. They say that in these depths, the spirit of the gladiators lives on. Some, according to legend, still fight in the shadows, seeking the glory they lost in life, he revealed with a twinkle in his eye, making Daniel shiver with excitement. As they wandered through the hidden passageways, Daniel found himself immersed in a world where history came alive. He listened to the stories, imagining the fierce battles and the emotions that once filled those walls. He could almost feel the presence of the gladiators, brave souls who fought for honor and survival, leaving behind a legacy that would endure through the ages. Finally, after what felt like hours of exploration, they emerged into a small hidden chamber filled with ancient artifacts. Dust-covered helmets, rusty swords, and fragments of shields lay scattered around the room. It was a treasure trove of history, and Daniel felt a rush of adrenaline course through him as he absorbed the significance of the moment. "This place holds the memories of those who lived and fought here," Giulio said reverently, gesturing to the artifacts. "You are now part of this story, Daniel. You have the opportunity to share it with the world." Daniel's heart raced at the thought. He had come to Rome seeking adventure, but he had found something much deeper. A connection with history, a narrative he could share through his writing and photography. He felt honored to be part of this moment and knew that his experience would shape his perspective on history forever. With newfound determination, Daniel began to take photographs of the artifacts and jot down his thoughts in his notebook. As he captured the essence of this hidden chamber, he realized that each item was a fragment of the larger story of Rome. He felt a responsibility to honor those who came before him by sharing their tales, ensuring that their legacy would not be forgotten. As the sunlight began to filter through the hidden entrance they had used, signaling the passage of time, Daniel knew it was time to return to the surface, but he also knew that this journey had only just begun. With his heart full of stories, he was ready to explore more hidden corners of Rome and unearth the treasures that lay waiting for him in the Eternal City. Stepping back into the sunlight, Daniel felt transformed. The streets of Rome, once mere destinations on a map, now felt alive with the spirit of the past. Each step he took resonated with history, and he knew he would continue his adventure with a renewed sense of purpose. There were countless stories to discover, and Daniel was determined to uncover them all. With Giulio as his guide, they set out again into the heart of Rome, ready to unravel the mysteries of the Eternal City, one hidden corner at a time. The adventure had just begun.